You'll be fine. Peace, everyone. Greetings and welcome to our annual fellowship. I am Achoti Moreyah.
And I'm Ima Akua. How are you?
I know y'all weren't expecting that, right? But this is beautiful. It's beautiful. It has been a beautiful time here where I am. I've really enjoyed this strong. I pulled through. We all pulled through. And it's great. It's great. It's always a great opportunity to build and share. I can hear myself echoing. Yeah. Ima Aquia,
Okay.
can you mute? Yeah, I think maybe that might be it. I don't know why.
I
Is that better
apologize.
now? Oh no, it's okay.
Mhm.
Or maybe it's another device that's on. Sometimes that happens with me too. Yeah, so it's been a great opportunity to just enjoy not just the weather, but people sharing and like just even building and working through healing moments with other Anu family members, whether it's in study or just private conversations. I think yeah, this strong was really great. How was your strong, Ima Akuyu?
Oh yeah, my strong is always full. And yeah, it was good though. I got a lot accomplished. I was, this is a surprise, but I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. This is not new to you. Don't behave like it's new. But we're glad to have you. I appreciate that. And for those of you filing in to our annual fellowship build, this evening's build will focus on, because I know we all, if you're listening, you want to get to the nitty gritty of it all, right? We want to jump right in. We're talking about heart and soul, the heart and the soul today. And we're diving into the heart and soul because, it's really important to uncover a lot of the value and the ways of our culture that we should be implementing, right? The things that we should be moving off of that shouldn't even be a mode. It should come naturally. A matter of fact, it does come naturally. Just before we got on here, we are like, oh wow, actually there's some things that are already embedded in us. It's ingrained. We just doing what we want to do, you know?
Mhm.
So we're presenting this because it is of um, utmost importance for us to share what the heart is, how the heart functions, and how to explore the heart, right? The chambers of the heart, and how to make that connection with soul as well too. Um, Before we jump in, I don't know if you want to say anything else, Imakuya, before we no.
I mean, I can greet the chat. How about I greet the chat? How about I
All
greet everyone?
right, everyone, because everybody in there saying hi, peace and greetings and rat-a-tat-tats.
Um, yeah. Shabbat Shalom. My goodness, I'm sorry. Okay, let me just get it together. Shabbat Shalom. Ahoti Yafe and Imanaya. Shabbat Shalom. Top tier speaker. Shabbat Shalom. Abba, Abba, my goodness. Ross Kush. Shabbat Shalom. I didn't want to say your name, previous name. Shabbat Shalom, Jason Diep. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Goodness.
All right. I just want to offer up some words of gratitude to open the space. It's always great to offer worship and gratitude and praise. And so we give thanks and praise to the Elohim for creating such a beautiful movement for us to be a part of and to identify as family and to identify as community. We give thanks for the vision that Elohim has embedded and imparted to Chief Yuya, and just the way he goes about leading and guiding all of us through this movement and through culture that we never knew was a part of us, right? Culture we never thought we would embrace. At least I never thought I would embrace, because I didn't know. He has that leadership, and we give thanks for that continued vision, continued leadership, and that striving toward expanding our community and extending all of that culture and knowledge to others so that they too can walk um, on the path of Anu. They too can identify with being, followers of the way as well too. So I give thanks for that. And for those of you who are here, just drop one. It doesn't have to be two, three things, just one thing that you are grateful for today. One thing. I don't want to make it sound like be a judge, but one thing that you are grateful for today. I think it's always beautiful when we could actually pull one or two things from out of the day and say, yeah, this happened and I really appreciated it. I really appreciated it. Welcome, Anu Radio. My Anne. Imanaya says she's grateful for her Anne. I don't know what that is. Anu Nation.
What's my end?
I mean,
What is that?
my Anne. What's that? What is that? What is that?
I'm
So,
actually grateful. I'm grateful just from last Shabbat um gathering, fellowship on Sabbath, and how that's, carried me throughout the strong. And I, can honestly say I feel so much lighter. and and perhaps that has a lot to do with the perfecting of the heart, you know.
mhm.
Um yeah, so I'm grateful for the breakthrough that I had last Shabbat that has carried me through up to this Shabbat.
Is yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Anu Radio says, I'm grateful for Chief's new house track. All the house
Oh
lovers.
yes, it bomb's got that that house sound. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. All right, let me see. Maybe I could find it. I don't know. I don't know. This thing acts crazy sometimes. I don't know. But we have a few people coming on in. Oh, I think she probably sent hit send prematurely. So Imanaya says, I'm grateful for my Anu sisters. I had some
Mhm.
hmm? Oh, I think it
Unexpected.
yeah, go ahead, because I can't see it.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
grateful for my Anu sisters. I had some unexpected encouragement earlier today. Good. Grateful for covering and leadership. Grateful I worked with someone else that cared today. Grateful for rest. Good.
Yes.
Um, Top tier speaker says, I am grateful for the revelations we always receive and share with one another. So, why don't you share one of your revelations, top tier speakers? Um, I didn't know you love some house music on New Radio. Um, Let me see. Oh, okay. Ra, is this greetings, Ra? He says, Shalom Anu. I'm extremely grateful for my body's strength and my ability to eat. I've worked out all week, so I'm also very grateful for the rest Sabbath provides. Awesome. Hoti Yafe says, I'm grateful for the grace and instruction I receive daily and being able to share this space and time with you all. Awesome. And then StreamYard has been posted in the chat. So if you would like to join us, y'all click that link and come on down.
Come on down. Come on up. All right.
Oh,
So
come on up.
it Come on up. So we're gonna jump right in, right? We're gonna jump right into exploring the heart. So Ima Akuya is gonna, you know, walk us through that part of build,
Okay.
build today. Um,
Okay. All
yes.
right. Okay. Yeah. So, I pulled from Command the Day. Give thanks for Chiefs Command the Days, and we can always go back to those. But this is from Perfect Heart. And um, pretty much what he talks about is let me see, how can I start this, that we always seem to have the thought, or maybe not always, but sometimes we can have the thought that we cannot um move in perfection, that we can't be perfect, that we're human, and we have mishaps and our mistakes, so that we can never be perfect. But he challenges that and says, actually, we can achieve the perfected. Um, and he says a lot of times, um, as it relates to our heart, we have a heart that's based on the things that we want to do, and we end up having a corrupt heart because of it. And when we do the things that we want to do, we miss out on that perfected heart. So he goes into talking about, well, how can we achieve having a perfected heart? I'm looking at my notes as well. And so the way that we can have a perfected heart is not necessarily by doing, but having a willingness to do what is right. So, and the perfection of the heart is also achieved by having a divine heart. So that led me with the question of, well, what is a divine heart, or what is it to have a divine heart? And Hoti Moreyah will
Yeah,
post
I'm
in
touching the screen again. It's not a touch screen. Do not ask me why I'm doing that.
Yeah, so if everyone can answer that, what is it to have a divine heart? And you have any input, Hoti Moreyah?
What is it to have a divine heart? Babe, I'm gonna put it up. Sorry. All right. What is it to have a
Mm,
divine heart?
uh,
You know, so when we think about the heart, we always talk about the seat of the soul. We talk about the heart being, but first of all, let's talk about just the physicality of the heart, right? Not
mhm, mhm.
the physio, because I don't really know all the chambers of the heart. I should by now. Chief
I
did
can
a
break it
whole.
down for you. If you
Oh,
want, I can break the heart down.
but just thinking about all of the different emotions that we tend to go through, and how we could use the heart almost as a barometer, right, for what's happening, whether there's excitement, anxiety, joy, the heart always has a response or has a reaction, right? Whether we feel fluttering, increasing in beats, and you could feel it, you could hear it, so but when I think about a divine heart, I think about a divine heart that is unwavering. There's no flustering, there's no fluttering, there's no shifting and changing and undulation in if you understand what I'm saying,
Mhm.
because the physical heart in this human existence has all of these variations because it's attached to a physical body, right? But when we talk about divine heart, I think there is that attachment to soul. There's an attachment to something or an intent that is greater than just my human desire. So there's less fluctuation, right? And it's more stable. That's what I think about when I think about a divine heart.
Right. Good, good. What I have is what a divine heart is, seeking to seek the will and the intentions of the Creator. And as we take on the Creator's heart, or the divine will, then our heart, becomes more like His.
Mhm.
So, um, let me see. And also like taking on the divine will, or the divine heart, or the Creator's will, um will keep us from like being people pleasing, because we're not driven by others, or even driven by ourselves, and the things that we want to do. So yeah, that's what I have so
That's
far.
what no, that's great because I think it goes back to when we talk about divine, we're talking about anything that is just, again, beyond that human desire. But I'll stop
Hmm.
talking and I'll jump into the chat because we want to hear
Okay.
from you all, right? And if you're tuning into this beautiful Anu Fellowship Bill later on, what is a day from today, 10 days from today, uh, and you are compelled to give a response. There may not be anyone listening or any live chat happening, but you can go to the comments and place your response there. We're always going to be at the ready to respond to you, and to engage. So, yeah, feel free. Feel free to do so. What is it to have a divine heart? What does it
Yes.
mean to have a divine heart? And Imanaya says, having a divine heart makes me think about David. Ah. David being a man after Yah's heart, seeking the divine and wanting to be pleasing to the ways of the Most High. Indeed.
Good. Hmm. Hmm. Um, Ra has also added to the chat, and he states that I think a divine heart can be likened to being childlike in a sense where your will is continuously evolving to cultivate the Most High's will. This is like how a child is always learning and open to new experiences. And that's true. The heart, when you say that it's evolving, that's when the heart is being perfected. That's talking about that perfected heart. So again, we can move in the perfected. So you actually are speaking when evolving is moving in the perfected. um MTC Randy answered the earlier question about his week, and he says about what he's grateful for. And he says, I'm grateful for all those who have never gave up on me through my ups and downs. Like y'all, they embody grace, respect for the process of self discovery and love. Give thanks for that share, Abaras Kush. And then we have another one. Okay, Hoti Yafe's answer: a divine heart has ceased to hunt all
All
earthly desires.
desires.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
That's absolutely true. Yeah, because what you're saying is, thy will be done, and Most High, and whatever your will is, I will make it my will.
My
And then your heart, you know, becomes like the Creator's heart. So imagine creating from a space, we all have a piece of, the Most High within us, right? So imagine, you know, when as our heart is being perfected and evolved, what we create through that, you know, according to the will. Imagine that. Can you see on the other side of that versus the things that you want to do yourself?
Right. You know, as I know we're not going to shift into the soul just yet, but it's so, I know in our previous discussions before we got on, we realized that it's so intricate, right? There's so many connections to the soul and the heart. And I mean, in terms of just driving us, when you think about a gear or the internal workings of a
Mm-hmm.
person, um I always go back to the heart and the soul, the heart and the soul, right? Because the will is what is the genesis of the of our actions. And
Mm-hmm.
actually that will is directly connected to the soul. The soul is actually what like creates that will, and so the will provides the intention for what it is that we're doing or thinking or saying, or whatever it is
Mm-hmm.
that those actions are.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, we may think, and we'll talk about what it is to have a corrupted will, because then we're talking about that disconnection. We're talking about imbalance, right? We're not functioning off of that will or the heart's intent. So
Right.
that the divine heart, right? The divine heart. We're not talking about those little pink red hearts that people cut out with with scissors, and you you throw sprinkles on them, or you make a cupcake and you make
Uh-huh.
two little hearts and you pour sprinkles, and you say, it's February
This ain't
14th,
Valentine.
have my
Yeah, this
heart.
ain't
But
Valentine.
no,
This ain't Cupid.
no,
Yeah.
no.
No, not
This
that
is the
type.
real deal.
Anu Radio says divine heart doesn't go against itself. It's fully alive with the will of the Most High's original intent of your creation. Sometimes the
Mhm.
brain gets involved and there is no heart in anything we do. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, so we, in Anu, we know and identify the brain as Satan. So and Satan is directly connected to all that is of earthly desire,
Material.
right? All that is material, earthly on this planet, because again, we materialized. Your soul, we materialized. So we materialized, we came to this earth, we're now earth, well, sky people who are on earth, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anunnaki. Well, I don't know. I know I'm Anu, so sky people, but I just going back to the breakdown of Anunnaki for those of
Mm-hmm.
you who you know those of you who are looking forward to part three of who are the sky people. um,
Mm-hmm.
that series has aired, and part one and part two has been uploaded so far. I'm sure many of you were able to catch it, and part three should drop maybe if not tomorrow or in another day or two. And I'm looking forward to part three. But just, yeah, just thinking about the fact that when we think about the idea of Satan being connected to that material and earthly plane, because the earthly plane is that material
Mm-hmm.
plane. That's what we're identifying it as. So when we begin to attach ourselves to everything that is all material, or the desires of our lower stages,
Right. Right.
then
Yeah,
that,
I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. Right.
I just kind of wanted to go back to what Anu read. Ahota Yamina, right? Is that
Yes.
you? Okay. What she was saying, like what she said was sometimes the brain gets involved and there is no heart in anything we do. And I would say actually there is a heart, but it's just a corrupted one, that material heart that we're saying. And there's so many things that we can attribute to it. Your heart can be corrupted because you just don't want to change. Your heart can be corrupted because um you're being stubborn, or your heart is corrupted because of how you want to be seen, or you may want accolades, you know um and again, this all has to do with what your own personal will, your will is versus it being the creator's will. And then how many times, have we seen it, especially considering we've been studying, Psalms 139 about searching the heart,
Mhm.
and things that we can find in it. And it talks about the heart being wicked, or you having, in other areas, you having a grievous heart, or a weary heart.
Right.
So I wouldn't necessarily say there's no heart. It's just having to do with, well, question, well, what is the condition of your heart?
Right. What is the condition? What it, so that so then that, yeah, because if we, and we haven't even touched on the soul yet, but if we're
Mm-hmm.
saying that the heart is the seat of the soul, right? Right? And
Mm-hmm.
we're saying that
Mm-hmm.
soul births will, because Chief teaches that, right? We learn that soul births the will, and the will is intention. So then there's a clear distinction between will and desire. They must
Right.
be. And so then that desire is what propels us down, like it causes us to fall. It definitely causes us to fall, and I hear you when you say there's that will, and we have that will. I i i think I'm seeing now more than anything else that there is that distinction. And if we're learning that will is what creates the actions or the intention for the actions, and that actually goes back to the soul, then it would mean that there's a distinction. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it would mean
Between
that,
will and desire? Are you saying
right,
between will and desire? I,
yeah,
I,
between
don't-
will and desire.
I think there is, but I also think that we can have desires according to the will. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Or think about, check this out. Think about Solomon and what he asked the Most High for when the Lord appeared to him, and Solomon asked what he desired. And
Mhm.
he said, I desire wisdom. And he said, and because you asked me for this over material things,
Mhm.
I will give you that plus more, which was understanding. Then the riches came,
Right, right.
so and the thing is that I would even say that Solomon sought the Lord as well. The Lord appeared, but I'm imagining that he sought the Lord, or how do you say, invoke? Is it invoke or evoke? I know one is outer, one is to bring down, and one is to bring out, one is to bring. I forgot. Um,
Invoke. I think it's
but
invoke.
there was some, yeah, evoke, was it evoke? Okay, but there was something that I would say could have been in Solomon's heart too, that he drew nigh to the Most High, that he would appear and and ask for that. So I think we can have desire if it's put in its proper place, and it was really clear because um yeah, Yahweh said, you didn't ask for these material things, you asked for wisdom, and
Um,
I will grant you that. Hmm.
mhm. I I agree. I agree. I agree. No, I agree.
Hmm.
I definitely see, because I'm saying he asked him what it is that he desired.
Hmm.
So if the soul is a portion of the divine intelligence or the supreme intelligence, it's a portion, right? Then there's a distinction between the intent, which is will of the soul, and a man's desire here in this plane. So
Hmm.
so there, and I'm saying, yeah, they can have both. But
Hmm.
I at the same time, I'm saying I don't even know if you can have in that you want or you desire will, because it's there. Because before we
Hmm.
got on, we were talking about the fact that like our environment, the things that we're around,
Hmm.
programming we're exposed to, all of that could
Hmm.
cause us to be disconnected to the will and in the intent of
Hmm.
the soul. And then
Hmm.
we start malfunctioning, we start assailing down, right? And I think one of the references that you even brought up was from the Anu way, that speaks about the different things that can weigh us down, and cause us to assail. I know you're
Yeah.
pulling for it, go on.
You know, I'm gonna have my study books with me.
Go on, take
Um,
it out, pull it out.
yeah, I'll read that, and then I want to add to your point also,
Mhm.
as it relates to. I'll read this. So, we're talking about what can happen if you have the heavy heart as well. And it says a heavy heart will assail you down from the rapturous tour of evolution, and a burdened heart indicates that your humanity has filled the spaces of your spirit and has thrust you out your capacity reserved for the weightlessness of your spiritual transcendence. And that kind of speaks to, oh my God, so many things that come to my mind now. When you were saying earlier about, well, if the purpose and the intent is already there, then there's nothing that we need to, there's nothing that we need to maybe overly work except just move in the purpose. So if we move in the purpose, then our hearts won't be filled with our own humanity. But I
Right,
also wanted to go a little further with Solomon, um in in terms of what he asked the Most High for, that wisdom. He
right,
asked, here's another awesome thing. He asked for that wisdom because he knew his purpose, and his purpose was to be king. He was, that was the promise to David. Well, the promise to David was that his son will build the temple, and David would, um pass it on, the kingship to Solomon. So Solomon was like, you know what, I need I need wisdom. you
yeah,
know, I
yeah,
need wisdom to be able to properly judge, what is happening. So again, it had nothing to do with his own game, but he
right,
wanted to be competent, in his kingship. He
right,
wanted to be able to be, well, he more, I would say, enhanced
right,
capability, if you
right,
see.
right.
Yeah. So um, oh, and then I wanted to say, well, if we're talking about his desire, who's your ace in the Bible? Your ace woman in the Bible that desired something. We just talked about
You
it.
know, so, here's the thing. Now
Okay.
that we're having this conversation about intent and
Uh
desire,
huh.
I'm gonna go to. It says, "My heart rejoices in the Most High. Mine horn is exalted in Yahweh. My mouth is enlarged over mine enemies because I rejoice in your salvation." This is the beginning of Hannah's prophetic prayer,
Yes.
because she had always intended, I'm going to put it that way. Intended. I had to say intended because no, it's like, yes, it's a desire because she goes to the temple and begins to pray, and we say affirmation or affirm in Anu and not pray. But in Samuel 2 1 Samuel 2, we see
Mm-hmm.
that she offers up this prolific prayer at the temple,
Mm-hmm.
right? And she visits there every religiously with her husband. He goes up to make Elkanah goes up to make sacrifice, and he always gives an offering for her, and she continues to give an offering. But what we see is because she gives birth to Samuel, that makes me say to myself, is it desire, or is it soul's intent that she bring forth this man? Because I kept saying to myself, I knew Hannah before I made the connection between Hannah being the mother of Samuel. Let me just say that for some reason, because of just the story and what the value of the story was. But when you start to break down the timeline, and you start looking at the lineage, which is so beautiful. This is the other thing that is so awesome about Anu. And I give thanks to my covering for, always focusing on, when we do scripture, who's talking, what's happening, and when you say who's talking, it can't just be the name of the person. You have to now look at the lineage. Where did they come from? Who are their parents? So, just Hannah is one who was of great faith, great faith. And you could see, even though there was, I think there was a younger wife who always, I'll say it, heckled her, right?
Mhm,
She made
mhm.
her feel like nothing because she
Right,
didn't never she didn't bear her husband a child, and
right.
such an important role when it comes to
Mhm,
just women. That's a
yeah.
woman's redemption, right? That's her role. So that was really weighing heavy on her heart. However, at no point do they identify her as having a heavy heart. She
Mhm,
always,
mhm.
it's clear that she made a vow, and she always leaned on prayer. She always leaned
Right.
on prayer. This was Hannah's desire to have a son, and she eventually did. So I just, I was trying to actually go back to that piece, that where you spoke about a heavy heart will assail you down from the rapturous tour of evolution. It's
Mhm,
clear that the heaviness that a woman could have carried at that time was not in her heart, because we
mhm.
do see her advancing. We see that perfected heart that you're talking about when you speak about evolution and moving and evolving up. So thank you for reminding me about that, because I was just going to tuck Hannah away and um, not bring
Well,
it.
I kind of see it like, wow, like she's pulling down. You know what I'm saying? And I'm wondering if there was even a commanding that she did, because if we are to, if the woman's role is to, bear the children and extend, and she's bound in her womb, there's, some affirmations, that she was speaking to. Um, and I would even go as far to say, again, what the creator wants is what she wants. If we know that we are to, the family or bloodline is to continue, then that becomes our desire, right? So, yeah, I think that's awesome right there.
Yeah, there's
Um, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, I was gonna say there is so much to, just to learn about the heart and
Hmm.
what's in our heart. And I know I'll just bring this up. I know I'm sharing Hannah because I know one of the things we were asked to do during our study session recently was to explore the chambers of our hearts, right? Of our heart.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
well, I don't know, maybe some of us are like Solomon and we were given another heart. Like you said,
Yes.
but
Yes. Saul was given another heart. Yes.
Saul, right?
Yeah.
Saul, you
Hmm.
said Saul.
Yes. Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
sorry, my mistake, Saul.
Okay.
So I yeah, I was just thinking about the charge that we were given then to kind of
Mhm.
explore our heart, explore the intention behind the things that we do,
Mhm.
and um it's funny I brought up Hannah because I one of the things that I shared was that I enjoy working with youth, but I do it because of
Yeah. Come through.
Yeah, I did because yeah. Take it easy, Ma. Take it easy. Okay. Please take it easy. Thank you. Um, yes. Yeah, so I do it because I see it as a way to redeem myself. I do not have children. Um, and yeah, it is mainly that was a part, a layer hidden somewhere underneath a flap uh inside my heart. And I really enjoy working with youth. I enjoy empowering them. I enjoy seeing the light bulb go off. I enjoy seeing offering them, which I know I was told that's part of what your role is, to offer them an alternative pathway so they could
Mm,
see, oh no, yeah, it's this is what everybody's pointing me toward, but there is something else. There's an
mhm,
option, there's an alternative, there's something else. And so I enjoy that because I enjoy seeing them open up even more when they have options, when they see, okay, wow, there's another pathway, right? Um, but it's not that. It's something else. It's something else.
mhm,
And I don't know, I don't think it's honorable. It's probably very selfish, right? Because it's like, okay, well, I want to be redeemed through that by being
mhm,
able to care for, nurture, and rear or support in the rearing of, because they ain't my children,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
Support in the rearing of
mhm.
youth, all youth, But
Yeah.
yeah, that
Give
was that was
thanks.
and maybe I'll reveal a little bit more. That is probably why Hannah's story always pulls on my heartstrings and always pulls me, and Hannah is so close, right? Apart from the fact that her name is like really cool, actually.
Mhm, mhm,
And there are all these different meanings to it. But yeah, I wanted to share that. And when we share things that are intimate, I wonder too if we all get to, how should I say, offload, share some of what sits in the chambers of our heart with someone else, whether it's an intimate share or with someone who you're intimate with. And when I say intimate, please don't go somewhere else. I just mean closeness. That's all. Okay? Just for clarity.
I just want to, say give thanks for the share because that speaks to either the heaviness or the burdenness of heart
Right.
that doesn't allow you to evolve, and who knows, after you don't know what the Most High, has in store as well. And perhaps as Hannah did, seeking all the more his intent and purpose as it relates to the role that you desire, to move in. So give thanks for that share. Were you going to post your next question, or do you want me to go to the chat and read some things?
You go to the chat. I'll post the question in the meantime.
Okay. Okay, so top tier speaker says similar to what had been shared, a divine heart is being in alignment with the will and intention of the creator. The cosmic heart becomes our heart. Yes, the creator's heart becomes our heart. Right. Good. This ain't Lupercalia. If I knew what Lupercalia was, honey, I
Lupercalia is
said,
Lupercalia is Valentine's Day. Let's not even go into the
oh,
long history. That is the historic Roman name for. Yeah,
really?
we let's we could go into what they did, who they offered sacrifices to. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, yeah, we gonna have to. So is that one of the initiatives for the Anu Youth is to talk about that? Because she hashtagged Anu Youth.
Yes, she
So
did. She is
okay,
one of the
all
lessons
right,
in there.
all right. Okay, so Abu Ras Kush says, my thought of a divine heart would reflect the humanized understanding, interpretation of Yah's characteristics, overall embodying Yah's laws and willing based on successing the quest Yah intended. Yeah, cool, good. Um, Ahota Yafe says, yes, Ima Akuya. That's why we must affirm divine authority over the lower stages of our own faculties. The brain function is the faculty. Yeah. Peace, Shabbat Shalom, Sata Ahava. Y'all got to change your names to the right names. um,
Okay.
I'm about to call Arlene. Okay. Um, and then Hota Yafe continues, it's because it was composed of the substance of this plane, earth. Therein is a limitation we must rise above. Yes. Um, Top tier speaker says, one of my favorite quotes from Anu Way, the consciousness of Yah resides in our hearts, but we should not hunt the desires of our own heart. So then I wonder if that's what no, I won't ask you yet. It just made me think of Saul and how the Most High gave him another heart after Samuel anointed him. So, and I'll talk about it later. Um, Myobi Shabbat Shalom, Myobi DV. The wisdom must be divine. Um,
Mayuba. Mayuba.
oh, Myobi, Mayuba. I'm
Mayuba.
sorry, Mayuba. I apologize, Mayuba. I apologize. Okay. And then Abba Ras Kush continues to say, functioning and manifesting in the center of righteousness and connectedness to the one, uniting with constant balance, actively balancing and wisdom. Okay, we missed a lot. It's a lot they saying. Okay, First Samuel 2, and oh, that's the scripture. And Hannah prayed and said, my heart rejoiceth in the Lord. My horn is exalted in the Lord. My mouth is enlarged over mine enemies, because I rejoice in thy salvation. Yeah. It was nothing about her. Those affirmations had nothing to do with what she desired. But actually, I would say she is her heart is becoming more like the creator's heart, in these affirmations. Shabbat Shalom, Yakira Eaton. Um, please like and subscribe. Shabbat Shalom, Master Menelik. Good to see you. And okay, that's it.
My
Is more on Hannah you want to talk about?
No, I saw Mayobi, one Kenobi, and I was just trying to figure out what that was. That's all. I don't know what it is.
I apologize for mispronouncing your name.
Oh, that's what it is. Oh gosh.
It is?
That's what it No, I just realized that it was a joke based on what you said. So,
Oh, okay.
what is the condition of your heart? What is the condition of your heart? And we could even pause here and talk about, we talk about the burdened heart and the heavy heart. And we're describing burdened heart, heavy heart, but very in an abstract way, in a sense, right? Um, but there's always a direct connection. I guess I'm gonna come with it. But there's always a direct connection between the emotional and the condition of our hearts,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the physical condition of our hearts.
Okay.
Because I start to think about things like heart disease. I start to think
Mm-hmm.
about, you know, people who have hearts that just, I don't know, they're much smaller or they're enlarged. Why is it enlarged? Why can't it pump blood properly? Like what's causing it to malfunction in the physical realm, right? Because everything that's functioning or malfunctioning in the physical realm, actually in the spiritual realm, the same is happening, right? The spiritual realm
Yeah.
is where it actually begins, right? That malfunction begins there. So I just think about the correlation between the two, that burdened heavy heart.
Yeah, I'm actually imagining that because there are many heart conditions. I know that there are like things called heart blocks, right? and heart blocks. And I'm not necessarily talking about the blockage of the vessels. I'm talking about the blockage of your nodes, your pacemakers that
Oh,
don't allow the electricity to travel down your heart. And so you have two different nodes. You have oh my God, a SA node and then an AV node. So sinoatrial nodes that send the electricity to pump the atriums, and then the atrial ventricular nodes that um, also send electrical impulses to the atria going down the ventricles. And you can have blocks that, that won't allow it to go down
oh,
the ventricles, like these fibers, these like electrical wire fibers.
yes.
And then that causes your heart rate to slow down, or the electrical impulses escape, and then you start maybe having fibrillation. So when I imagine that, I'm imagining maybe the blockages of energy, or
Mm.
how you don't allow the ruach to move within you, or this the spirit to move in you because of the blockages that you have within your heart. Or there's another condition that can happen, like if you had a let's just say you were in a motor vehicle accident, you had a traumatic injury, and it's called cardiac tamponade. And that is when you may have blood that fills into the peri-sac of your heart and doesn't allow your heart to pump properly. Ooh, that's a horrible thing to happen. So imagine, things that imagine that happening on the in the spiritual realm. Imagine, are you allowing certain things to squeeze, to affect your heart, to squeeze your heart so much that it won't even pump anymore. you know um yeah, I was actually thinking about that. I was like, I don't know how I would like correlate that, or if that would even make sense. But and then uh in Command the Day on Perfect Heart, Chief talks about the heart being encrusted. You know, when you have it, or encrusted, or like hardened. You know, and I would think you would have to be careful with that, because you chip away at something that is hardened around, around it, you start chipping at the actual heart. You won't have any heart left. So yeah, those are some things.
I'm over here. I was over here trying to type the thing, but it didn't happen. You stopped talking too quickly. Sister Yafe
Yeah.
says, did you read this one? Psalms
No, I
51 and
didn't.
10.
Mhm,
Psalms 51 and 10 to 11. Create in
mhm,
me a clean heart, O Elohim, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast
mhm,
me not away from thy presence, and take not the Holy Spirit from me.
mhm. Is that the condition of your heart, Ahotiafe? Or she was just sharing that scripture? Cast me not.
That's Akoti.
Yeah,
You like to
create me
explain?
a clean heart. Yeah, explain that one.
Um, yeah, and Anu Radio says yes, that makes sense. Yeah, I could
Mhm,
see the correlation, that connection between. Top tier
mhm,
speaker says, I'm not sure the condition of my heart. I just think about Jeremiah 17 and 9. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?
mm. I think it's very telling that while you say that you're uncertain of the condition of it, yet what came to mind was that scripture. So
Right.
would you say that you're saying that your heart is deceitful? Top tier speakers, yes. So just give a response to that. Does anyone else want to share what the is the condition of your heart?
Your heart. Yeah. And it seems as if we're using biblical references to give a description. Yafe says, "Oh,
Oh,
you." She says,
mhm.
"Oh, you asked about Saul getting a new heart, and that was the scripture that came to mind." I see. He would need a new heart to commune and do the work of the Most High.
You're right. He would, and if you follow the story, um, if you follow the story, it talks about and correct me if I'm missing any pieces in it, that he
Hmm.
was a goodly man, and I'm imagining good looking. However, when excuse me, Samuel approached him, he thought of himself. He didn't think of himself as much, um, but Samuel gave Saul directions, certain directions, and which he followed. And so I'm imagining that at that during that season, that Saul did have the heart of the creator. He did want to move in the will of the most high. And I don't necessarily see it even as there was no motive behind it, versus, when things change. So he did need a new heart. He needed another heart. And it said it in I don't know the scripture. I think it's in Samuel, First Samuel. I need to go down.
First Samuel and
Mm, I don't think I wrote it down. Oh, wait. I want to say First Samuel 10:9. I want to say that.
and then let's,
Um,
let's
yeah. And it was so that when he had turned his back to go from Samuel, God gave him another heart, and all those signs came to pass that day. Yeah, he needed another heart. He was given another heart. That's amazing to me. But then, I mean, perhaps not. If you do the will, then your heart becomes more like the creator. Maybe that was like that sealed the deal or something.
but it not but
Uh-huh.
it brings me back to that piece that I was trying to type in there from the
Uh-huh.
Anu way. A burdened heart indicates that your humanity has filled the spaces of your spirit and
Mm-hmm.
has thrust out your capacity reserved for the weightlessness of
Right.
spiritual transcendence. So
Mm-hmm.
if it's filled that, and I know it's saying just the capacity, it may not be filled the heart, but it
Mm-hmm.
would be like you need a heart transplant, right? It
Mm-hmm.
would be, which is exactly what Sister Yafe is saying.
Okay.
You would need to be have it replaced because it's burdened down. It's been filled with all of that, earthly desire, the muck, the mire, all of it. And in Saul's case, I mean, I guess we could go down the long list of,
Mm-hmm.
what do you call it, spiritual sins that Saul committed, so to speak. But I could see how it would require him to do that. I mean, he literally, I mean, didn't at one point, I can't remember which part in scripture, he actually, um, he's in the wilderness. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
literally, yeah, there's a point where he is literally in the wilderness and we see him, almost, yeah, dethroned in a sense, but he is in
Mm-hmm.
the wilderness, and that wilderness makes me think of a place where, he is not connected to the will of Yah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When I think of that, I think of that imbalance and that disconnect, so
Mm-hmm.
you don't have the direction from Yah. You can't be filled with Ruach. You can't move off of the intention. You have no connection to soul. So your purpose is, you know, not even apparent anymore, you know?
Uh-oh. I'm sorry, sis. You kind of went.
Who, me?
You froze on me.
Can you see
You
me?
there? Okay, I can see you. Oh, good. Please don't leave
Okay.
me. Please don't leave me.
You'll be fine. Oh, you'll be fine. You Top tier speaker says, I'm not saying my heart is wicked, but I will say that there are times when I'm in alignment with the will of the Creator and times when it's not.
Okay.
Yafe says, oh, like closer to the Creator, wink. Uh-huh.
Woo 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 woo. Closer to the crit. Yeah. Yeah, that it is like that.
Okay.
It is like I wish I had a logo so I could have put up there too.
Really? You plug in now? Okay. You just say, okay, like I'm gonna plug in the middle of this new way, new fellowship build. It's Sabbath, no plugs.
Got it, got it.
But you know what? I think
Yeah.
our the conversation we're having, it brings us to I think one of the question we asked our question, right? So this kind of brings us to peek into the soul, right? Because we
Mhm,
had our
mhm.
conversation about the heart, what's happening with the heart, and I wanted us, what is the soul? What is the soul? Just drop a phrase, statement, sentence in the chat, maybe even a biblical reference that stands out to you, and that embodies what the soul is. Yeah, Yafe says that's shameless. Shameless plug. Eh, according to someone I know, gorilla. Gorilla is shameless plugging. Oh my goodness. Master Menelik says, heart brings to mind the core or center of a thing. It is where one's thoughts and actions spring forth from. Having a divine heart is having a clean heart oriented towards the will of your Elohim.
Yeah. Give thanks, Master Mulek. Yeah.
Thank you. And Master Menelik, you shared on your live sketching on Tuesday, you shared a phrase repeatedly that the heart was both a wellspring and a container, if I'm not mistaken. And I thought, I thought that um, it stood out to me, and I kept saying to myself, I have to remember to bring it in. I have to remember to bring it into our conversation because it was profoundly connected to this. And we only shared a lot of our build yesterday and today with each other about the heart and soul. So there, I always realize that there are intricate ways that there's a stream of connection that's always happening between our builds, our conversation, side study. They're always connected. He says, I'm not sure where this is Ezekiel 36 and 24,
Mhm.
7. For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries and will bring you into your own land.
Mhm.
Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean from all your filthiness,
Mhm.
and from all your idols will I cleanse you. Hmm. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you, and I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh, and I will put my spirit within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes, and ye shall keep my judgments and do them.
Mhm.
Thank you. The soul is a part of us that is from the source of our creation. Yes. Thank you for dropping that in there.
That reminds me of another scripture that's in Psalms that talks about how the Most High will put David in place and make him a shepherd over the people, and he will, um, this is not verbatim, like speak truth, speak truth according to the integrity of his heart. And it just, and I, it reminded me, I say that because verse 27 said, and I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you keep my judgments and do them. And that is what David was called, to do the same. So, excuse me, when he did go before the congregation, it was
Right.
according to the integrity of his heart, meaning the truth of his heart, the truth that was within him.
Him. Yeah, and
Hmm.
this is a call to us as well too, to Israel as well too, right? It is a call for us to also pay heed and turn away from our idols and turn away from all of the other programmings and kind of tune
Hmm.
into the spirit of the Most High, to Ruach, right? Because
Hmm.
it's peaceable, I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes.
Hmm.
It's also speaking about us walking in the statutes that the Most High has placed in front of us
Right.
and adhering to the law, you know?
Hmm. Pastor Melanie coming with this, with the word today. Come through. I'll read it. This is from Proverbs. Okay, my son, attend to my words, incline thy ear unto my sayings. Let them not depart from thy eyes, and keep them in the midst of thine heart, for they are life unto those that find them, and health to all their flesh. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. The issues of life. Yeah, I'm not going to forget that part. I'm not going to forget that part because I want to talk about Saul's issues and David's issues. I would say matters of the heart.
Matters of the heart.
Hmm.
Matters of the heart. Are you going to do that now? Or are you going to wait
No,
until?
because we're on your soul. So no, it's cool.
Well, it's not my soul. I mean,
You know what I mean.
it's not my soul. So, um, one of the things I wanted to share was, not just, okay, soul is that portion of the supreme intelligence that we all have that's, cannot be defined, cannot be confined, cannot be detained. You
Hmm.
Nefesh is the Hebrew word. Nafesh. I have to try to work my mouth to say it. Right? Nun pe shin. Nefesh is the Hebrew word for soul. And a lot of the times we think about soul, and when I started looking at like the breakdown of nefesh and what it is, so in the concordance, nefesh comes up as, um, I had it here. Oh my goodness, this is bad. I call
Hmm.
myself so well prepared. I have oh, there you go. It was right here. Um, to be breathed upon, to refresh cells. We also have nefesh as a breathing creature, an animal. But we have breath, creature. We also have pleasure, mortality, a person. So there are all of
Hmm.
these connections that we can make with soul when we
Hmm.
identify soul, and we identify that it's a portion of the supreme intelligence. It makes sense that these words of such as breathed into, right? And
Hmm.
creature, because
Hmm.
now we're going back to Genesis, we're going back to the animating of
Hmm.
that red clay to make it human, but also identifying that it's not just flesh, that it's nefesh. It is a soul, it is a creature, it's a being, which makes me realize that it's there's a connection, like a natural connection. This creature, the being has a soul or is a soul,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Because it naturally contains that portion of the intelligence, that which is will. And so
Right.
one of the questions I asked you all was to share what you thought soul was, whether it's through your own explanation or a biblical reference that embodies soul. All right. So for those of you who are giving us the Hebrew, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the Hebrew. Master Menelik says issues here refers to what is pouring out from the heart, referring to it as a source of wellspring. I see. I
Yeah, I
see.
caught that.
I
I
see.
was like, oh, okay. Not in the sense of like dis-ease or anything.
Right. Right. Or troubles or problems.
Yeah. If we go a little higher,
Mm-hmm.
Hoti Yamina says the soul is part of us that is from the source of all creation. And then top tier speaker says soul is will. And then going further down, Ahoti Yafe says that soul is truth.
Where is it? Soul is truth. I kind of miss her. Yeah, I see it. Soul is truth. Yep. Yep.
Hmm.
And it again, it represents that conscious will, right? Even though there are times when we may elect to ignore the conscious will, right? Um,
Hmm.
but it has no cause and it has no drive. Um,
Hmm.
except the will of the Almighty, right? So I again, I think that's why I was thinking about the idea of will and desire and they being separate because it has no drive except for what it is that the Most High or the Supreme Intelligence wills, which would be the purpose for our journey or our lives. And I think that's important to connect the two, connect heart and soul, because if we're talking about, you know, what it is like to have a burdened heart or a heavy heart and how that separates us and disconnects, and then we see how the heart is almost like an anchor in a sense.
Hmm.
Um, and the soul is the one thing that keeps us that like connected. It's the
Hmm.
one thing that keeps us constantly moving toward that evolution or that perfecting that you were talking about earlier. And I know I kept saying that the will is the genesis of action. And I think that goes back to what you were saying when you say we have a divine, what it is to have a divine heart. Because then we're
Hmm.
functioning from the will of the creator when we have that divine heart. So that's again, that goes back to will. And so then I asked myself, or I said to myself that will is a seed. Will is
Hmm.
a seed that's planted inside of us. And
Hmm.
think of I think of the command a day perfect seed because within there it's speaking about the way the environment and the soil whatever the seed is exposed to, how it taints it, but
Yeah. Mhm.
the seed in itself is perfect, right? And so
Yeah.
the same, or this is true for the idea of soul and will for us. There's that, it's perfect. It doesn't need anything,
Hmm.
it doesn't want anything, it doesn't have a drive, it just is, you know um and sometimes it's funny because sometimes I've heard people say, my soul here on earth, but we learn that the soul, we there's it's a reflection here. The soul does not take up residence in this plane. Anything that's connected to the soul is only a reflection of it, and the soul
Hmm.
doesn't have any desire. It doesn't have any
Hmm.
desire. That's why it says it doesn't have any drive for anything. It's there's no,
Right.
and it's because I've heard people say, my soul desires this thing or my soul craves. It does not.
It
You
doesn't. Just
it
is.
It is. It is.
Mhm. It
Imagine.
holds like your purpose, your destiny. I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
No, it's saying imagine being propelled by something that fluctuates.
Hmm.
Imagine being propelled. Do you understand? When I think about soul, I think about being anchored. I think about consistency. I think about no fluctuation, no frequency, no up and down, just like a constant,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But also, I think about objectivity, right? Rather than being subjective, I think about the soul as being objective. So it's not influenced by environment or how I feel right now, or what I'm thinking, or what my brain is thinking, or what my brain makes my body feel or perceive. And then I start thinking, oh my gosh, my heart hurts, and I'm feeling pain, and so then that influences my actions, right?
Hmm.
um if that's the case, then I'm not functioning off of my heart. I'm not functioning off of the soul. My soul desires, I want this. Yes, exactly. 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 So when I think about it, I just think about, you know, how consistent the soul is. And it has to be objective. Because if it's holding our purpose and it's holding the will, then imagine
Hmm.
what it is like to function with no will. There,
Yeah, you'd be crazed somewhere. I could imagine just doing, just off the chain. Um, when I think of soul, because I'm not at that place where I can articulate it, but when I think about it, I think of like this still, like that still small voice, that we read somewhere in scripture,
mhm,
and that it is consistent, but
mhm,
I can only try to describe it how I've experienced certain things, like kind of like how, like there's something within you that's telling you to do a particular thing, and your heart is telling you something contrary to that thing that's constant, and it's not necessarily a push that constant thing is getting you, but it's just resting there. And I can't think of an example off the top of my head. Okay, no. I think back when the time when I was going to um nursing school. And if it sounds different, if it's not, then let me know. um but I knew that I I was going to RN school, and there's some certain prereqs that I needed to take, and then there was certain prereqs that I needed to do over. And the prereqs, well, I didn't it wasn't a requirement for me to do over because I had the grades and I was within my recency. Like, there's a certain amount of time you can you have to have these classes. But within me, something was saying, take the classes over. That was it. Just take the classes over. And for years, that was the same. And anytime I attempted to do something contrary to what was sitting within me, it never worked out until I finally just went ahead and took the classes over. And from there is when things started to fall in place, that I didn't even necessarily need. I didn't have to like work overly hard or go around the mulberry bush like I was doing when I was trying to avoid retaking those classes. So that's the closest example that I could give it as it relates to like maybe understanding the soul, and it has to do with destiny and purpose, because that what I was supposed to do never wavered. It was always the same. You need to take the classes, take the classes, take the classes. And that was all I ever heard until I finally took the classes. So
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I think Yeah, I think you're right. I think when it comes to, again, I, the, it's almost like there's a source for our actions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the
Mm-hmm.
action is driven by this constant. I think that's the image I was trying to conjure up. Like when I said, imagine functioning off of something that so like fluctuates all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely think, Akoti Yafe, what is dynamic is not necessarily something that is always fluctuating, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or there is another word for what I'm referring to. It's just constantly back and forth. It's never consistent. It's almost like you can't, when you walk into the store and you can't make up your mind about something. It's like, oh, you take something off the shelf about 5 times, right? There's this uncertainty, but with soul, with that will, it is certain, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think your example is great. Right, exactly. This idea of going back and forth constantly, that vacillation that happens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you were when we were talking earlier, you said like the beauty of aligning with the soul. Remember how you talking about that? Like when we do come into alignment, what happens? I want you to say
What?
it.
I don't know.
You were just talking about like when our hearts align with soul, then what?
Then
Like
what?
what? Like then what? Like I mean, you were saying everything is laid out for you. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like you have the blueprint to everything. Like there's nothing to fight. Like you just driving in the car, like okay, and the GPS is telling you it's telling me to go left, so I'm gonna go left. You know what I'm saying? Like you're in alignment. You're moving in your purpose, and when we were saying it was like when you were talking about like yeah, so like what are we fighting then? You know, like why is it what are we desiring that's contrary to our purpose? If this is our destiny, if this is the purpose, if this is the will, then what is it that we are fighting? You know, like
Well, there's so much that we're fighting to remove, because I think it goes back to the profundity of the Anoué excerpt that you read earlier. Something's filling a space that should not be filled with heaviness and burden and worry, anxiety, and all of that, right? And fear. So when you're filled with that, when we're filled with that, we become disconnected, disjointed. But the truth
mhm,
is, I think part of the point I was making earlier was that, yeah, will is literally there. And I think I said it too with the idea of the seed. It's a seed planted. It's literally there. Like we do not have to fight for it, but we function in this almost like in a duality, so to speak, because we know that we have our purpose. We know that we have that soul and will driving us, but we're also functioning in on the earthly plane where someone else is giving us those different standards to live by.
you didn't say that soul has duality, did you? Or
No, that's not what I'm
oh,
saying.
okay, okay, okay.
No, I'm saying like we're literally living in this idea. Yeah, it's almost like, this plane is a plane of duality,
Yeah,
right?
okay, I get it. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, yeah. I think when we think about what we've been taught about the soul, and how the soul functions and the way it drives us, it's important to pay attention to our environment and how it causes us to shift and pulls us away from that intent. It pulls us
Mm-hmm.
away from that will constantly, because again, we live and function in a world where we're bombarded by someone else's culture,
Yeah.
right? We're bombarded by every other desire and temptation that
Mhm.
could be possible, whether it's food, drink, money, whatever your God is that you desire
Yeah. Yeah.
to identify with, and so that becomes your driving force.
Mhm.
And therein lies that imbalance and like that disconnect, you know. Um, but we don't have to fight it because it's already embedded in us, you know.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
already embedded in us, and I think that's why a new heart. We would have to have a new heart. Create a new heart in me, you know. That's actually one of my favorite songs by what's her name, Malka Norwood. She
Mhm.
actually takes that psalm and um, those words and makes a song.
Mhm.
And I think we that's a an affirmation that we can all use
Right. Right. Can I go to the chat?
if you like.
I just had a question to myself, but I'll and ask it later. But so top tier speaker says if a person has a corrupted heart, does that mean all of their intentions are not in alignment with the creator? Is that why we throw the baby out with the bathwater? And then Master Menelek asked, what does it mean to have a corrupt heart at top tier speaker? So I would um, say answer that. And actually, here's what I was thinking in my mind, because if our heart is to be like, if we're constantly perfecting, or we're, striving for the perfected heart, because we can't, um, it's not going to be perfect, right? We talked about that. Like there's a difference between being perfect and perfecting, or moving in the perfected, which means like there's this constant evolution, or yeah, evolution or evolving happening. But I did have a question, because I could be perfected in one area and corrupt in another. So how does that work? How does that work? Like we are always constantly, you know, um, striving, to be in alignment, to maintain, to follow law and be obedient in that, yet and still we fall, so where is, like what is, I don't know, where are we with that, where's the heart in that, like, because I can sense where there's some, I don't know, like I don't know, but that was a question that came to me. Now I wouldn't say throw the baby out with the bathwater, but sometimes we, like throw my whole heart away. But it could be some valuable things there too. I don't know. That's a good question, But I do think about that, because we're always constantly striving and we're imperfecting, which means that there are things, that do need to be renovated, or do need to be scraped out, or do need to be rebuilt. Or does it all, excuse me, or is it completely, yes, take out that old heart and put in a whole new one? Excuse me.
That's right. You know, maybe that's why a new heart
Mm-hmm.
um, needs to be given, because there are like there are sections of our who we are and our being that we don't pay attention to,
Mm-hmm.
intentionally or not, right? Um, and when we don't pay attention to those parts of us, it causes imbalance, and then it creates that bear.
Mm-hmm.
We don't uncover it. We don't try to explore those chambers, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think they sit there and they fester, you
Mm.
know. And yeah, And
Mhm.
so, yeah, the idea of the perfecting is that always, I don't want to use the word strive.
Mhm.
I don't want to use the word strive, but
Okay.
there's always that evolving. And I'm not saying it's a wrong word. That's just me saying
Mhm.
it's not
Mhm.
saying it's the wrong word. But always that evolution taking place, as you said. And there may be parts of us that we have not uncovered, they're imbalanced, but that does not mean that we're ignoring them or we're not
Mhm.
embracing them so that we can explore what those chambers have inside of them and evolve that part. Right.
Right.
I think the perfected is that constant movement toward, and it's not ignoring it, right? Because there may be things that you don't know. I'm not saying there are things that we do know that we ignore. That's a
Right.
whole different kettle of fish. But it's like they say. But it's those thoughts. It's those thoughts that we either suppress or we don't address. And I think the perfecting and the perfected is the constantly addressing it. Um,
Mhm.
so
Would you say it's like a constant regeneration, regenerating of the heart?
it's that's not a brick that I have that I could lay down in this conversation right
It's just a
now.
question, like, so then is it regeneration or, um, I mean, we are talking about perfecting or being, constant perfected, but um, anyway, I'm just my mind just, I just that was just a question. So, because I don't have the answers either. Can I go to the chat?
Yes, because I started reading it already.
Oh, okay. So, Ross Kush says pollutants of Babylon culture, which breeds a number of dis-ease, disconnect, and dysfunction. I think that was from the um, a previous question. I'm sorry, I just forgot what it was. The question that was asked. And then Ahoti Yafe says, "Oh, I was gonna say Fred Hammond or Kim Burrell. I love that verse. Yeah, I love Kim Burrell's version. Fred Hammond's good too, but I love Kim Burrell's. Um, Top tier speaker answers, Master Millet, from Command the Day, Perfect Heart. I have that. Corrupted is lack of change, thinking you're not equipped with all that you need, and doing things to be seen. Those are some of what I have. Yeah, I mean anything that's contrary to purpose or to will, I would say is corrupt. You know, if it's not according to law or, like I said, in
Will.
alignment, then anything, even a little small little itty bitty speck, you know, it's corrupted. It's no, I mean, if we're saying that, I don't know, this is a horrible example, but if the paper is supposed to be white and clean, and then we put one little tiny piece of dirt at the end, is it corrupted? Yes, it is. We got a little spot on it, no matter how small. Um, I would think so. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Mm,
anything that's outside of the will.
yeah. Yeah, because once we begin to move based on being driven by like perspective and human experience,
Hmm.
right? Then the problem becomes the pseudo culture that influences that human experience.
Hmm.
So then that's the corrupted heart.
Right.
That's the corrupted heart.
Master Milik says, give it to us in one sentence. A corrupted heart is, based on that segment, plus Chief rarely describes a problem without offering a solution. I'd say go back and dig into that segment some more. Give thanks, Master Milik. I will go back and
Thank
listen.
you. I'll go back to definitely. All right.
Oh,
Anyone else with soul? Anyone else with? I haven't heard one person lay down one thing. Oh
yeah.
no, say that. Sister Yarina and Sister Yafe. You know, but the reason for bringing up soul was really about showing you the intent, like intention and will, and really highlighting how important it is. That's I definitely think that's part of right thinking. What is that, SL?
I was saying the same thing. What's she saying? What's that? Anacronyms. Hotiafe, SLBW, SLBD,
Sound like
SL.
something a little bit questionable, but I don't know.
Oh, you don't know.
And it feels like I should know. And when she puts it there, I'll be like, oh yeah. But I don't know. Um,
Oh, so let it be written, so let it be done. All right.
NS what?
Oh, come through, Masterman elect. He said to corrupt something means to spoil it or destroy it. If you're corrupt at the core, then the core has been spoiled. Would you still eat an apple if you realized that it was rotten to the core? No. And then he says NSFW. Oh, okay, cool. Okay, okay.
What is NFSW? No,
I don't know. Oh my God. Yeah,
no. So what?
what are we doing?
I don't know. Oh my goodness.
What's going on?
He said disregarded. Okay, thank you.
All right, all
Because
right.
I was over here busting my brain trying to
He
figure out.
said, "Don't Google it," because I was getting ready to.
Oh boy.
I was.
Okay, I can't Google it
Mhm,
right now.
mhm,
So soul, too late. She said too late. Soul births will, and will is synonymous with soul. And soul's directive implies intention that allows for energy to take form. So if we're functioning off of, again, that soul intent, then it means that we have the opportunity to create that new heart in a sense, right? And that new heart indicates that um, we're getting rid of what is soiled, right? We're
mhm,
getting rid of what has been filled with all of the human conditionings and the human experiences and the um, burdens. We have to get rid of it because that's the soil.
mhm, mhm,
That's the soil. That's the spoiled. And
mhm,
we can't do anything with that. And like I can say when you're bogged down, I have personally been bogged down with just burden and having a
mhm,
heavy heart. You don't think about anything else. I didn't think about anything else during those moments except
mhm,
myself,
mm.
right? And
Right.
it's from a place of it's a poverty mindset.
Mhm,
It's a poverty mindset because at no point do you, yeah, you're not even thinking about how do I move from that place where I am. It's you
mhm,
just constantly thinking about what's in your heart, what you feel, what your emotions are. It everything is based on earthly desire or the
mhm,
experience or the human experience that you're having. And at no point are you allowed to release. At least I could say it was very hard to release from that space of feeling bogged down by experience,
mhm,
whatever that experience was, and be able to say no. There's actually I could tap into intent and will that is greater than whatever that experience is that I'm feeling.
yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm just like, yeah, she's on it. It makes me think of David, right? So, when David and his men, his warriors, um, I forgot exactly where they went out to battle, but in First Samuel 30,
Mhm.
um, but they were coming back to wherever they camped out, and um, the whole place was set afire, and their women, they all the men's wives, um Their women and wives, sons and daughters were taken. And David was in distress. You know who they took to? Abigail. They took Abigail.
Oh,
Yeah, Abigail was amongst the wives that was taken.
taken. Oh,
Um, yeah, so so here's David that's in distress. He's grieved and he's in dire straits. He's in a situation, because not only are the wives, his wives, and then his
his
men's
wives.
wives, daughters, and sons are taking, they talking about stoning him, and so he's not in a good position, but he did not resort to retaliating towards them. It says that David encouraged himself in the Lord. So we're talking about how you manage. What I'm really trying to speak to is, you know, the matter of the heart. How do you manage and maintain, that heart, so you don't go into, you don't feel a burden. That's a burden to know that your women and children being taken, your men want to stone you, but he goes within actually, and he encourages himself in the Lord, it says, and
Mm-hmm.
then he calls the priest for the ephod. Like, okay, boo boo boo. You know how Master Moses says he thinks that thing is like a phone, like, and he
Yes, true.
consulted the Most High. He went to the Most High. So there was something of his heart that he maintained, right? To
Yeah,
get consultation, and said, Elohim, should I pursue? And he says, yes, pursue, for you will prevail. And that speaks to something about the heart that in that she was talking about in the Okan, and he was
yes.
talking about I need to find my notes because I thought this was good. Um that there is a dark side to the heart. There's this like this fierce, aggressive side. I'm just going to read from my notes of yourself, and it has to do with like the misfortunes in your life.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you have to use those misfortunes in your life to be that driving point to push you through, to get to the other side of that thing. Um,
Right,
but 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 David could have easily just, slew himself, or he could have, um, turned on his own men, for saying, you want to stone me. Well, I'm gonna
right,
come after you. Like he just could have, just acted out of his own. But he said, I believe because of the heart that he did have, he knew exactly where he needed to go,
right.
in that distress, and say, he encouraged himself first, though. So there are some affirmations that he had to say.
Mm-hmm.
There are some things of his heart that in strengths within himself, and or maybe things that he knew of his own heart, like, nah, I'm about to affirm this. I'm gonna encourage myself, and I'm about to go to the Most High and put this ephod and talk to him and get some instruction from him. What should we do? And he got it. So, and that's just speaking to, I guess, how we manage when we are burdened, or when we are feeling, a certain
Right.
type of way about something. And I guess I'm speaking to it as well, because there are times where I'm in dismay and I will shut down, like, oh, woe is me, or whatever it is that I'm feeling, and not move, not use that, like, there's this grit you have to have, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To push through it. So yeah, that's it.
She's- I think it's valuable bringing up the example of him going to the ephod, and um we have the word.
Mhm.
We actually do have the word, and
Mhm.
if we are affirming here that, you know that soul is a portion of that intelligence, then we are
Mhm.
walking around with our own solution embedded in us.
Mhm.
It is there.
Mhm.
And maybe we have to figure out how to bring ourselves back to, that place where we can, grab the word,
Mhm.
or pause and be able to pull ourselves away from that grief or the burden, you know, or the heavy heart, right? Because
Mhm.
especially when we allow for our emotions to take hold of us, when you allow for emotions to take hold of you, you'll spiral down.
Mhm.
Even with things like anger, you can't
Mhm.
think and be angry at the same time. Those two things don't happen together. And I think about the same thing when we're overly emotional. I'm going through despair as well too. This is, well,
Mhm.
interesting. It's turning out to be an interesting conversation on, just what I guess what the heart feels, what the heart goes through, you know.
Mhm. Mhm.
But we have to be able to pull on the word. We have to
Mhm.
be able to pull also on not just the word and any word, but just looking at, I think about Psalms. I think Psalms came up several times in the
Mhm.
chat this evening. But just thinking about the way Psalms is divided and looking at, which specific words that we should identify and use during those times when we feel like we're being assailed,
Mhm.
down because of that heavy heart.
Right. Right. Yeah, when you start making bad decisions, when you move out, when you move in a whole different kind of spirit, and then which can turn your heart, it totally moves you away from the will. And I'm just thinking, like, and with David, he was made king, so I'm wondering, like, David was in the, he was running for some time before he was king. So imagine the heart that he had to even maintain, you know. Um, and you see, in his journey that he's made mistakes as well. But my point, the point that I'm just driving at is we have to be mindful of you getting back to, like you said, it's the word that can keep you, so that we don't, go down this road of horrible mistakes, because we're caught up in, ourselves, and the things that we want to do, or, something that is happening that we feel may change the trajectory of the direction we think we should be going, and then make more mistakes. Yeah.
I mean, and it's some of it is language too, like the language we
Mhm.
speak. We were having the large conversation during our most recent retreat on abundance.
Mhm.
But I was thinking about, how language and the words that we say to ourselves, the things that we, um, yeah, silently. Sometimes it's the quiet words that we say to ourselves that it
Mhm.
begins to program.
Mhm.
Begins to program and reprogram even down
Right.
to our subconscious mind, and then we just become we become to we become more of those negative things that we
Right.
say to ourselves, and without even realizing it,
Mhm.
and that it's sad because we're confining our potential.
Mhm.
We're confining our potential to whatever those negatives whatever those negative words that we conjure up and
Mhm.
put ourselves
Mhm.
in, like those boxes that we create and we put ourselves in. Um, and I think that may be part of the soiling too. That's
Mm.
part of the spoiling that we don't realize we inflict on our own selves, you know?
Right. Right. Yamina said expectations can sometimes relate to shutting down. Are you saying when like you don't meet your own expectations, or like what you mean?
Yeah, I wanted to ask if you could expound on that a little bit more. Yes.
Couldn't one also program themselves to fulfill their potential?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. I mean, it would be language that's fulfilling, language that affirms abundance, language that is allows you to expand, endowing words, right? Um, of course, you have to do. It can't just be words.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely agree that we have.
I think. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I was gonna say, I think maybe the challenge was like one example of how we could program ourselves, like all those things that we were to do, like in 30 days. That's like an example of how one could, if remaining consistent in that.
Mhm. Yeah, I think part of the also the part of the programming to fulfill potential is being able to identify community, being able to identify a community who you can hold you accountable and hold your feet to the fire and hold standards
Mhm,
up in front of you and
mhm,
say, no, this is how we function. This is
mhm,
the culture that we have, that we identify. And not just identify and we have it, but you begin to live it and you see the benefits in your life. You see the benefit in your thinking. All
mhm,
right. And I think a lot of the conversation we had tonight, we didn't touch too much on thinking, but right thinking is very much
mhm,
a big part of it. And your proximity to righteous people who also have right thinking. You know, I
mhm.
I think part of the programming is it happens in many different ways. And
Yeah.
a major part of it is identifying community, identifying that stable, right community um, that can begin to hold you accountable, right? I say I am
Mhm.
grateful for that even within Anu, their standards. At one point I was like,
Right.
okay, um, I I would identify as Farai, right? Following Rastafari. But there were no laws. Like we understood the expectations for women on their cycle and roles of men and women and how you are to
Mhm,
function within the family or all of that. Those are were given to us through scripture, right?
mhm,
The Nazarene
mhm,
vow, that's also a law. However, when you went to different houses, there were all these different laws. There are always different standards. There was never one standard that
mhm,
everyone was expected to uphold. And so, being a
mhm.
part of Anu, you realize, no, you're given those foundations, you're given those laws, and they're not just conjured up from wherever. There are all these biblical precepts showing, no, you're Hebrew, and this is how you live. You know,
Right.
I definitely think that's part of the programming us to fulfill our potential, being able to identify
Mhm.
a solid community.
Right. Um, yeah,
Music,
that's true.
Yafe said music, the music we listen to, sorry, the programs
Mhm,
we watch, those who surround us, right? It's
mhm,
almost like an
mhm,
addict going through withdrawal.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you got to keep your heart soft. Don't allow your heart to be hardened. Um, I just think about Saul, and how he moved. He was given a whole nother heart,
Mhm.
and his spirit got so, um, he was easily swayed because I was reading, when Samuel um came to, basically rebuke him for not following what the Most High told him to do, when, to take out this group of, I don't know, the group of people, Amalekites, I'm not sure. Um and Saul, rebuked him, and you actually, at that point, you find out the manner of his heart, even when he was given a new one, because um he said to Saul, said, didn't the Most High, tell you to do these things?
Mhm.
And he said, I did do those things, except that, you know um the men, women, and children, or whoever, the people took the spoils and sacrificed. He threw the people under the bus, actually, and sacrificed it, to the Most High. But I was just, thinking about what was he doing to maintain that. He wasn't walking in obedience. He did something contrary to what the Most High told him to do, and so then his initial purpose, I don't know, maybe this is questionable, then his, what was supposed to be his purpose, was taken away.
Mm.
Hmm. I'm looking at Master of Menelek said. And then another thing that then when Saul finally admitted it, then you hear him say he feared the people. He didn't want to correct them, he feared the people. So where was his heart in that? So he was more worried about how he looked to the people than staying in alignment, with the Most High.
Right. Well, remember who chose Saul? Who chose Saul to be king?
The Most High did. He told him to anoint Samuel, to anoint him for king.
Saul. Okay. I thought
If I'm
Saul.
wrong, tell me if
I
I'm
thought
wrong.
Saul. No, I thought Saul was chosen by the people. I
No,
actually
no,
thought he was
no.
chosen by the
Was he
people.
chosen by the people? Was he?
Yeah.
Okay, somebody read it and tell me. I
What?
thought he was anointed. I thought the Lord told him. I thought the Elohim. I mean, okay, I have to go back and read it.
You sound stuffy. You
I
sound
know
stuffy. Yeah, we wrong for that. We
I'm
shouldn't be doing that
wrong.
here. But yeah, and I thought of that because of what you said, like how he was preoccupied with not being in right standing with the Most High, but with the people. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, and and even when the people were celebrating, a battle, and the women were saying, David um killed his 10,000s and saw his thousands. He was a hater at that too. But now, dang, I have to reread that.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna do that on here right now, but
I know. I'm
I
gonna
know.
get there. It's bothering me. Okay. All right. I'll stop.
So thank you for that, Yafe. Changed. What you said? Change the music we listen to. Yeah, yeah. There,
Mm-hmm.
there are lots of things that program that can be programming that we don't even realize. And we think sometimes I think we think of all of the things that we intentionally watch or listen to, but I think there are lots of subliminals. I think um, there are other messages hidden in sound frequency as well too that
Mm-hmm.
we aren't always aware of. Um, and that could influence us, that can program us. They, yeah, you
Mhm.
know, when you think about the fact that above a certain age there are certain frequencies that we can't hear, cannot hear,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you know, it just makes me wonder, not wonder, but I think about, you know, the programming of young people, you know,
Mhm. Mhm.
based on the things that they listen to, the music they listen to, the programs they watch, you know.
Yeah, I had to move away from certain music and certain excuse me, and certain artists even
Yeah.
realize like no more Jasmine Sullivan, like no more,
Uh,
no more like I don't need to be listening to this, these artists. Like there are those that I like moved away from because of the mood that it could put you in, you know.
mhm. But why do we like the things like that? Like, why do we like and tend to be, you know,
Because we think it's relatable. We think it's
oh,
relatable. I'm just speaking to me. Like sometimes, like I can, like yeah, or it'll agree with whatever it is that I'm feeling at the time. So like if my heart is broken and I'm listening to this isn't anymore. If I'm giving you 10 seconds to go, or I'm gonna bust some windows out your car, and I'm like, you know, I'm just saying, like you're asking, so I'm just telling
yeah,
you.
I'm not. I mean, I'm gonna respond and react like I can't.
Right.
You know,
You know, so you feel like it's relatable, but over time, in all honesty, like over time, you know, um, and being in our new and listening to the word, I'm like, yeah, this is totally contrary to what it is that I'm learning. And now I don't even like it. Like I don't like, listening to it. Even if it was like, oh, this was the jam, like I don't like always listening her in particular, or or certain ones, but I don't need it anymore. I don't even want to identify with that anymore.
I got you. I understand. You know, it's the soil. It's
Mhm.
you have to be. We have to be. You know, wary of that. We have to be
Mhm.
wary of that. All right. Um. So the last comment was Yafe's. She says, "I also call Chief. I also recall Chief saying that addiction alters the brain as well as the brain. So the brain now functions differently even if we stop. It's like ever present, something unholy." Anu
Um,
Radio says those songs are like trauma bonding. Yes, 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 yes. Mary J songs are similar, and they're hits because they keep us in a space further and further away from the heart. True.
yeah, I don't even like. I used to jam on Mary J. Blige too. And then those. Yeah, I used to. I don't even. And now look at her too. Like, how did I even listen to you? You know, and it's horrible. It's horrible.
Right. Right.
Like, and I'm like, you're mad. It's you who is mad. It's you are angry. You are sad. It is you who feels this way. Yeah, I'm go Mary. Like, yeah, Mary. Like, no, no, that mess is it's all crap to me. It is, in all honesty. Like, I'm like, wow.
But they're making money off of somebody's
Uh-huh.
uh, sorrow and misdirected anger.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah, totally.
Master Mendelein
Anyway.
says, now the Yahweh had told Samuel in his ear a day before Saul came, saying, "Sing with a joyful." What? Oh, sorry.
No, that's not him.
I thought it was. I was like,
Samuel
why he
9.
said, "Sing with a joyful heart" in his ear? Really?
Yeah, no, I think that's when Saul, when the Lord sent Samuel to go to Saul to anoint him. But
Okay.
you're right because they did want a king. They wanted a king, and Samuel went to the Most High to say, "Look, they want a king," and
That's right.
then the Most High chose who it would be.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
That's what I mean. It
yeah.
was
Oh, and he's saying because the Philistines, they were like under bondage for the Philistines. Yeah.
tomorrow about this time I will send thee a man out of the land of Benjamin, and thou shalt anoint him and to be captain over my people Israel.
Mhm.
Um
Yep.
that he may save my people out of the hand of the Philistines. For I have looked upon my people because their cry is come unto me. Yeah, and then the fans go what a troll and terrorize anyone that they may think the singer
because
whatever is
because
making
he
up
threw,
a story and
yeah,
talking about what I see.
yeah, he threw his scripture in the middle of it.
Yeah,
So yeah. Hmm.
I got you. I got you. I got you. I got you. Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
I moved away. Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank
He
you, Master
wasn't. Yeah, he was anointed,
Miller.
but it's because the people did not want to be led by the Creator. They wanted to be led
Yeah.
by man.
Yes, they did. And he says that they rejected him. That's
Yes,
what they
because
rejected him.
all of the other nations were had men as rulers, and they,
Mhm.
you just
Mhm.
you see what people have and you want it. Why? Why? But yes, he was anointed. Thank you for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right.
Wow. So they like let go of the promise.
Mm,
They got the promise. They wanted to party and insert expletive here. Expletives in expletives
expletive.
here.
Okay. Akoti yafe. I know.
I got a trunk full of bricks. No, never, never, never. No, don't do that. Don't be. No, I was not. Listen, I was not violent. Okay, I was not violent back then.
Oh, that's why
Bricks.
he said in the middle of the property damage endorsement. Okay. Oh boy.
No, no, Master Millet. I did not have bricks. Was not busting windows. None of those
Slashing
things.
tires. So wrong.
No, I was no. I didn't. I didn't do any of that kind of stuff. I was just hurt. You know, I was just
Misdirected.
crowbar. See y'all making out you guys.
Oh boy.
No, that was you, Hotiafe.
Uh-oh. You telling her that was her? Oh my goodness.
I don't know. I'm just saying it. I'm just playing. Yeah, you right.
Right. Oh,
Yeah, those lyrics are horrible. I
yeah.
even heard I heard a song that this is with Jasmine Sullivan featuring her, and it was some little song. It was a horrible song. I don't even remember the words, but anyway, it's not even worth it. But
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
don't
this
think it
is
is either.
yeah.
It's not. So, well, we're gonna wrap up, and I say that because I know this is Sabbath evening, and we also see the comments titrating into you know trickles. So we get the message.
Hmm.
But we will that you got the message today, right? This evening, our focus was, the value and power of right thinking. Knowing who you are, acknowledging that there's a portion of the Most High in, oh my goodness. Oh,
He said it's about to get lit. You so bad. You
mm, mm,
so
mm.
Woo.
Didn't have them, you have them now. I'm trying to
She
bottle
couldn't
y'all up.
wait to
Yeah,
call
because
us up. Give us
y'all
free.
crowbar swinging, tire slashing behavior needs to be contained.
Yeah,
Yes.
let's shut it down because I
Yeah.
was gonna take it there. I'm like, no, I don't want to go there because it's like
Right.
stupid.
Exactly.
It's stupid.
On radio. Exactly. Man. There you go.
Thank you, man. You made it. Man, you made, yeah, thank you, the whole team, Yamina. Because Yafe is going, what's up with your heart, Yafe?
I, hey,
What's up with that girl?
and she's still saying give us free. Oh my goodness.
And I
Y'all need
thought I
some
would be the
you
one.
need some
But
Raphael time in your life. That's what's going on.
yes.
Yes. You need to play some Raphael time. You talk about music programming. Yeah, you need to
Uh-huh.
play some music. Oh, I thought you were talking about the no. But yeah, before we leave, I just wanted to reiterate that the build this evening was really about focusing
Mhm.
on the power of right thinking and acknowledging our power and our value, and not leaning on just the brain, not just leaning on the burdens, the things that make us heavy, the things that can pull us down, but understanding that we're more than that, right? And there's
Mhm.
value in being able to identify a culture,
Right.
being able to say,
Mhm.
I am surrounded by a community. I think that's one of the most important things when it comes to, because we talked about the corrupted heart a lot and we talked about programming. um
Mhm.
I'm talking, and every time I talk I look at the chat and I get distracted. Yeah, but yeah, it's really about that and the role that thinking and right thinking plays in the actions that we take, right? And that affects the journey that we have.
Mhm.
And that journey, based on a lot of what you've shared to Ima Akuya, that journey should be one of perfecting. It should be one of
Mhm.
constant evolution.
Mhm. Yeah, Master Milik was just saying how it does make you think of the idea of being heartbroken and that giving you license to be wicked, which is what Saul did, when he threw that javelin at David, because he was hating on him, because David was favored and Saul was not. If the heart and soul aren't aligned, many things seem justifiable when you have no law to follow. Yeah,
You
yeah,
said
that is what it perpetuates. Uh-huh. You said, yeah, go here and yeah, tear up some stuff.
some stuff.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. And a lot of women think that that's okay to do. I mean, I'm speaking on the women. I don't know about the men, but yeah, and they'll go up and act a fool, a straight fool, because they heartbroken or what some that a man did to them or whatever it is.
Right. Chief recently shared that. Chief recently shared that, and when he shared it, I said, "Wow!" And this is not it word for word, but he was saying that,
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of people that internal fire, like they're
Mhm.
lukewarm, is the word. So he was saying they're lukewarm because they think they've, their love broke up with them, or they broke up with their love or whatever, and so that's that lukewarm being, or that way of being lukewarm, that's how it comes. That's what kind of brings forward that kind of lukewarm, I guess, being disconnected
Mhm.
with your journey, and just not giving it. And one of the things that what I do remember him saying word for word is like, your soul is your first love.
Mhm. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
really, that was powerful to me. That was part of where I was like, oh yeah, we got to talk about soul.
Mhm.
That was
Mhm.
that is in the on the midday affirmative, if I'm not mistaken, the midday
Mhm.
affirmative that Aki Zach just did on uh everything hot, spit lukewarm.
Yeah,
So I was just like,
yeah,
um and so if you're interested in, like, like really delving, it was a really long, powerful build. I'm sorry, I forgot these for the effects. Claps last. Yeah, if you're looking for a very powerful build between Anu men, that was a long one, very powerful, lots of gems, and very inspirational as well too. Very inspirational as well too. So yeah, yeah, that
yeah.
dynamism, dynamism and objectivity of the truth spoken about earlier is crucial as well. One cannot be dynamic or objective if you are attached to something, some thought, or someone. True.
I'm sorry. I know what it was. This is doggone incense. I'm
Oh, creating
sorry.
that, yeah, sometimes.
Mhm. The dynamism. Oh, and objectivity. The truth spoken about earlier is crucial as well. One cannot be dynamic or objective if you are attached to something, some thought, or someone.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
you cannot. And then Abba Rajkus says, I once knew a female that broke out the windows of her ex boyfriend's Corvette he just bought because she was convinced he cheated while they were together. And she gives spiritual and marital advice.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like, and I, you know what? When it comes to those type of things,
swindling people,
I am
man.
so vigilant when I hear madness from women, like if they want to have a conversation with me about those types of things.
Right.
Because I've had, women, one woman call me and say she wanted to leave her man because of whatever it was it because she wasn't happy with herself. And I had to say, get off the phone with me with that. Like you are out of your mind. Don't call me telling me you want to leave your man because you're unfulfilled when he's the one who told you what you needed to be doing and you ain't doing it.
Hmm.
So get off the phone with me and go talk to your man or apologize to him. Whatever your heartbrokenness is, I can't, like, I'm not listening to that because you are wrong. You were just, so when I hear stuff like that, like, it just drives me like this is just, no, this is wrong. And women need to, yeah, they need to get over themselves. Those ones that, you know, just caught up with themselves. I don't know how to say it. I'll start getting overly passionate and start saying some things I probably shouldn't. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I mean, I agree. There's a part of me that just all I also understands that there's a programming feeding that type of woman,
mm-hmm,
and we could bust out the Shahrazad Ali and talk about who made her. Because
mm-hmm,
it's not the pain you're reacting and you're busting out tires and you're busting out windshields, but it's coming from something deeper than just that person. Somebody placed a thought and a behavior inside of you from since you were young, right?
mm-hmm,
And the objective is to create what it is that we see here, that we're talking about right now in this space.
mm-hmm,
So it's not just that one man, and the sad man or woman or whomever that you feel gives you the license to now start to tear up stuff,
mm-hmm.
and destroy things. Like, yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It goes so much deeper, because even if you do have an exchange, and I'm bringing it to a space where it's just general, but even if you do have an exchange with someone and you get to the point where you get so upset about something that happens, why would your very first response be, let's tear stuff up? And I think Master Menelik said it well. you start behaving like a wild animal. You've been a wild
Mhm.
animal. You're just a
Mhm.
wild
Mhm.
animal with perfume and a wig on, with some
Right.
fluttering fancies and some nice clothes.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Or you have those other type of hurt women that they can't see past their hurt, so like and these aren't the ones that are necessarily violent, but you can bring truth to it and it makes sense to them, but then they can't see it. Like it's like, no, it's a man who will give you direction. It's the man who will give you this, but they're so traumatized, and they put up all these roadblocks that they refuse to see that or they just refuse to move in the truth of that thing. Like, yeah, I know it's true, but I'm comfortable, in this space, instead of wanting to experience what the other side of that looks like, instead of wanting to even place themselves in a community where they don't have to um subject themselves to the previous trauma that they once experienced, but being around um a righteous circle of men, they rather just be alone.
Who rather,
Yeah.
because they want to be alone. Listen, they want to be alone.
Hmm.
Oh, I was saying because the desire is to be alone. The desire is to be alone. Two, the desire is to be
Hmm.
alone because you can control. So because you can't
Yeah.
have
Hmm.
control, you choose to be the woman who just has like all the cats in the neighborhood, and you're gonna
Hmm.
be alone. And then you talk
Hmm.
about how powerful you are and how strong you are, and you're too strong for any man. No, actually, no.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
yeah, you're as strong as the weak man you choose, and
Hmm.
you're surrounded.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Hey, you right.
She said, "Hey, funny." Listen, no, I mean, let's really talk about it. What type of, and Chief has spoken to this already. Chief has spoken to this from the angle of um people you're giving readings, you're giving advice, you're giving direction and guidance, but you have no example of family to show,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So how does one follow you? How does somebody follow your guidance, you know, but at the same time you don't have a family, right? You're not functioning off of family. And I think there are one or two lectures on just I think it's Babalawo and identifying what that word means and it being father, and question now becomes, well, are you a father actually?
Hmm.
Do you
Hmm.
have family? But even outside of that culture, just considering even us as Hebrew people, like if you're saying you're leading, you're guiding, where is your family? You have to stand up
Hmm.
as the standard and the example. Um, and I mean, the example who gave that example? Was it Abaraskush
Yeah.
about the female who's giving spiritual advice?
Yeah.
If you can't even conduct your own affairs with some emotional maturity, then you could give spiritual advice to the unwise and the unlearned. That's the only thing I could say. People who are not wise, nobody taught them to decipher spirit. Nobody taught them to look with their and listen. Because
But the craziness in her head, she convinced herself that something was happening, and went violent, and obviously, that behavior is going to lead to the breakage of your union. I would think, because I don't think a man would want to stay with someone like that, but She convinced herself, which is, so then I'm wondering, well, what was going on in your head? All that, what is talking in your head? Like you said earlier, like what voice are you listening to, that would cause you to behave in that manner and feel justified.
Right. Yeah. This in this and in so in this instance I'll pause and I'll say again, that programming
Mm-hmm.
happens, and that programming to fulfill our potential happens when we are surrounded by righteous community. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you are surrounded by elders, there's no way that is acceptable. If you're surrounded by elder women
Yeah.
who know how to function and how to guide you, there's no way that type of behavior is acceptable,
Mm-hmm.
to the point
Mm-hmm.
where it wouldn't even be considered. It wouldn't even be considered. And that's, just rereading this again too, it screams possessiveness as well.
It
Um,
makes me think about what Chief said in dang, please don't leave me. Please don't leave what's coming to my mind. Oh, when he was taught went in command the day on perfected heart, and he said, when your heart becomes perfected, um, people don't want to be around you anymore, Um, and that's just what I started recognizing, because when that one chick called me about her man, I was just like, oh no, I'm not. I was like, I can't. I'm not. We're not about to bash your man. Like you ain't even listening to him. So don't call me back until you tell me you apologize in the least, and I haven't heard from her since, you know. But it's true that people don't want to be, when your heart changes and you move away from those types of things, which I have. um yeah, your circle of friends are different. Well, not even friends, but no one wants to be around you, and I'm cool with it, because it's way clear to me now, but that's part of it, as well, when we're talking about the perfected heart. you know you want to read some stuff in the chat?
we were closing
Oh,
out.
I
Apparently,
know.
apparently not. Yafe says, Master Menelik says, exactly, Sister Yafe. I'm poised as long as I get my way, but as soon as I feel a level of disrespect, I'll start behaving like a wild animal.
Mm-hmm.
Yafe says, this is woman number one in the Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman, written by Shahrazad Ali, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which we're currently studying. Well, we're studying her life and her work and what led her to, write her book. I will be digging into her book soon. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Master Menelik says, Abaraskush, that's super messed up. Pure lack of emotional maturity. Side note, whoever makes bricks is making a. Oh boy.
That's a
What?
lot of bricks.
Yeah. I mean, what type of advice she's going to perpetuate the same sickness
Mm-hmm.
that she has? You know,
Men are all the same.
that's the type of
Yeah.
coach,
Yeah.
marriage coach who's gonna encourage the separation and encourage the breaking up and dissolution of families.
Don't even get me. I
Yeah.
have to learn how to bring it in, because when I hear it, I'm like, first of all, I'm like, dang, that was me, and then I'm like, y'all are missing it, and I just get a little frustrated. So I have to learn how to bring the reins in and learn how to communicate, a little differently. Because when I hear it now, I'm like, don't even bring it this way.
Right. Yeah, well, and when you hear it and you counter and you speak the truth on it, they don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
because yeah, I wouldn't even go into the whole. I had experience in the car one time. It was just wrong. Yafe says, "What is in the heart of that woman? It seems that it would be nothing but evil, since that is action based solely on the brain and not the divine mind."
Mm-hmm.
There you have it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, fluttering fancies, indeed. Yeah, we are not meant to be alone.
Mm-mm.
We are not meant to be alone. But that's the wickedness of um yeah, that's the wickedness of that type of mindset and mentality. You want to do what is in opposition to what is natural for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's only natural.
Yeah. Excuse me.
She certainly did. She certainly
Did I
did.
do that? Did I put that up like that? No,
Did
that
you?
was you.
That was me.
Oh, okay.
Um, the breaking of the windows is equivalent to moving masculine masculinely. It's expressed in various ways. Hmm. Oh, I missed that point.
And then it makes me think about how then they want to say men are what is it? Toxic masculinity, but then they don't want to, but they wouldn't attribute that, as such what that woman does. But men being men is toxic versus a woman busting out some cars, or whatever it is that she does. Anyway, I don't like talking about it.
Um, that would be the Goddess Power Brigade. Well, that's a false brigade. It just has a name, but it
Mhm.
ain't real because ain't nothing, no such thing as a goddess anyway.
Goddess. Hmm.
Sorry to, spoil your party. Party done. Sorry. It's
Hmm.
over. The brigade is over. Can one bust the window down and still be wise? Or is she stuck in that forever?
What? Can one bust the windows and still be wise thereafter?
But can one bust the window down?
The window dim,
Yes, meaning the windows, all the windows,
the
and
window
still be
dim.
wise thereafter.
Oh,
Um,
that's that Jamaican talk.
doesn't that isn't that what you're talking about when we've been talking about this entire time, the evolving and the perfected heart.
Right. Hmm. Yeah.
So that wisdom, there must be wisdom that will come after that because there will be consequences. I know.
But are you? Where would I don't see where the wisdom would be there because unless she has a change of heart,
Yeah,
But ain't no.
that's what I'm saying. Like
Oh, okay.
if that evolution happens and based on consequences, because there will be consequences. And I'm not talking about consequences that come and then you boo-hoo because you got
Yeah.
others coming to you, but genuinely repenting. Like repentance is
Yes.
different, so that and then seeing the error in your own ways. And then also s- stop charging people to tell them lies because that's wrong. That's wrong.
Yeah.
Master Menelik says, yes, Abaras Kush, both men and women who have the required qualities and seek to cultivate them are who we work to empower. They exist, but they may not be the ones with a huge social media presence. This is true. This is true. This is true. The Hannahs and the um yeah, I don't even remember
Yeah.
Hannah. I can't say Jedediah's because
Yeah,
um
Miriam.
right. Yeah, it's just hmm, they are there are people who want to do right. There are people who not just want to, but they are living up to a standard in their life, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And that's indeed who we want to cultivate and we want to empower. Meaning
Right.
each hurt person. Oh, okay, I see. He's explaining. He says, meaning each hurt person teach the prerequisite mentality of hurting people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's just proliferates. It just continues and continues.
Is
Hurt
I
person
mean,
tilling
are
another.
you saying is what's that? Sorry.
I think he's saying like you're just continuing. Or Abba Ross Kush, are you saying like each hurt person is teaching the next hurt person, you know, how to hurt others, like hurt people? Is that
Right.
what you mean?
Wondering if that's, but I didn't
Hmm.
want to say. Is this what you're saying? Yafe says, so she's not wise in that moment. She will be wise after wearing the orange jumpsuit. Well, yeah, yes, indeed.
How? What will she had What will she have had applied? You know, yeah, hurt people, hurt people. Yeah, if we really moving in wisdom, how she wise up? She ain't no wisdom in being in the orange jumpsuit. It's
But that's
too
what I was
late now.
saying. Like, let's move it toward how it would be wisdom. You would have to learn from the
Hmm.
experience, right?
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
there would be repentance. And then when after repentance, then you know that knowledge of how wrong your actions were. You must acknowledge
Hmm.
that, and then it's
Yeah.
that wisdom comes because now like now you know better. But I don't know if that would be the situation at all. It- you know,
Uh.
not maybe not in that, um, not with that particular person. But I see, yeah, I see that. Um, yeah, that's one of the things that we hear the phrase hurt people, but that's not always, you know, yeah, we hear that, but eh, yeah, we hear that. Yeah, repentance is the only thing that's gonna bring her toward wisdom. Is that repentance? Is being able to identify that this is what I did. It was wrong.
Well, and that has to even be measured as well. You know, because I know when I did wrong. I know when I've done something and I know when I've done wrong, but you really have to have a contrite heart about it. And when you are
True.
repentant, you're turning away from it. You're like you are going to move yourself out of that state. You're not going to just sit there and say, "Yeah, I was wrong. I shouldn't have did it. I shouldn't have busted those windows out." But you staying right there. There's nothing that you're doing to reconcile. There's nothing that you're doing, and I'm just speaking when we're truly repentant.
Right.
um
Mm-hmm.
what's the other reconcile? And there's another one, recompense. Is it recompense? Is it I forgot the other word. But if you're not taking those steps, if you're not taking those steps, then it means nothing. Your words are void. You can admit it. And I say, because there's been plenty of times like, yeah, I was wrong, I sure was.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Right. Yup. And stay right there and not do anything about making a change, and not doing anything about going to the individual to say, you know what, I was wrong. I should not have done that. I should not have done that to you. And whatever else needs to be said to at least acknowledge that I hurt you, or I did something against you that I should not have done. If you ain't doing that, and you ain't trying to make another, you know, go in another direction of renewing your heart, and that's then you ain't repentant.
Hmm.
You are not.
Master Mendelek says this sensationalized battle between toxic
Mm-hmm.
males, effeminate, and
Mm-hmm.
toxic females, masculine, can be a distracting spectacle. True. Indeed. Indeed. I mean, distracting even to the point where people, some people think that that's acceptable. That's like no an acceptable norm.
It is.
Um,
It's
he
TV
says,
shows.
however, it convinces you that we are opposites and our natural sane complement doesn't exist. True.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is true. This is true.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. How do you cripple a lineage? How do you cripple that? How do you cut off a lineage of people?
You don't make no more babies.
Right? And you can't, because if you're acknowledging that my natural complement doesn't exist, then I don't need to make babies, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's hold on. Abaraska says the herd can be charging for misinformation that is just Babylonia with the lynch culture. Um, yeah, you keep women insane and by corrupting their heart. This is true. This is true. Again, that corrupted heart is disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
You need a new heart. Oops.
Yes, by corrupting. Yep, you're right. Hurt does not typically last. It's usually temporary unless it's focused on and stored for reusage and repurpose. Yeah, that's dealing with I'm sorry, I don't recall exactly what's in Mind Heart Words, but what is doesn't last
Feelings,
long?
emotions, the
Emotion.
emotions. Yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
feelings are those patterns. They're long term over time. What happened?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm
Any last words before we close this evening's build, Ima Aquia?
no.
I wasn't expecting that. Okay. No, I was not expecting that.
um,
Go ahead.
you close and let me learn from you
I
how to
mean,
close.
how to close. I just, for those of you who are tuned in still, and you're always looking for more of Anu content and Anu culture to engage with, please connect with us during the midday affirmative. We have the midday affirmative that's held every Yom Rishon on Sunday at midday um, on Clubhouse, and it streams live as well too on this Anu Life Global Ministries YouTube channel as well. So come through. There's always something powerful. We're always going to give you not just life hacks and advice, but inspiration and right culture. And I also wanted to encourage you to check out some of the newer videos that were shared as well. Some of the new videos that were shared are um, the drumming videos, which is a sneak peek into the musical experiences that we have when we have our retreats together. And There's a naming ceremony. We also had our the union as well, and that was beautiful. There's also a series that recently started, Who Are the Sky People. It's a three-part series. The third part will drop soon. Look out for it. I know you've been enjoying it. I've been enjoying it as well too. And the last thing I wanted to share was that we are opening up our retreats to the public. So if you've been watching Anu and following our content, and you know you love you love culture, you love right culture, you want to be a part of a community, and you want to experience our community retreats. We are opening up our summer retreat in June to the public. The registration is has already been posted onto our Annual Life Global Ministries website. So please feel free to mosey on over there and complete the registration in anticipation of a wonderful retreat. There are videos as well on Annual Life Global Ministry, just to show you, to give you a little sneak peek of what that experience is like. All right, so that's it. That's all I wanted to share. And also, as you're on the website, check out the blog. Our New Life Global Ministries also has a blog as well too. Check out the blog, read the latest blog, and share your comments below. Peace, everyone. Shabbat shalom. Enjoy your rest.
Peace. Thanks for having me.
Ah, you're welcome. Come on back now. You're here.
All right.
Peace.
Peace. Do I leave?